All right, going to be doing another comic review, and this is another book sent to me by my friend Chris. Thank you as always, brother. Today we're going to be looking at Fantastic Four: Our World Under Doom. This is the tie-in to. This is not only the tie-in to the event Our World Under Doom, which I do kind of want to read. I heard it's a really good event, but this is also the quote-unquote end of Ryan North's Fantastic Four run. At least this arc. Can we just do a comic arc where it doesn't revert back to number one and just do and continue the story? Why is that so hard? And people wonder why the people wonder why it's so hard for people to break into Marvel Comics these days is because, oh, this is a number one, but it's a continuation of this story arc. Oh, that's a number one. It's only going to go for 8 issues, then it's going to go back to the new thing, to the original title, but you're still going to need to read this. Whereas DC's like, yeah, this is this is issue 158. It's a new status quo change, but we're not changing anything. We're not renumbering it to number one. Yeah. But yeah, this is the end of Ryan North's end of Act 1 of his Fantastic Four run, which I've really enjoyed. It's just nice to have a good Fantastic Four comic. And I have to be honest, I was a little hesitant to read it at first because it was having the same story of what did the Fantastic Four do? And we were doing that at the same time of Zeb Wells' Spider-Man. I was a little worried. But thankfully this fixed that better than Wells did in his run. So this comic takes place during One World Under Doom. You don't really have to read this event because the whole story arc itself really kind of feel like outside. It does tie into what happens in Our World Under Doom, but the thing of it is that you really don't have to read that one to follow this story. Basically, what has happened is that Doctor Doom after Blood Hunt took over the world as Sorcerer Supreme. And the Fantastic Four are obviously like, oh, crap. And I like how this story plays out, because the first issue is a story of like Thing, Ben, and Sue encountering, because vampires are now a part of the world, and Doctor Doom ran on this thing of, I'll protect you from the vampires, and I'll be the strong man. And also there's a thing of like, where Jen is talking about like, laws are only useful if they're enforced. And Doctor Doom runs on this thing, almost like a campaign of getting rid of the vampires. And social media is used to like, Doom may be a bad guy, but he's not that bad of a guy. And there's also a lot of things that sounds like another horrible human being that is currently in a place of power right now. But let's not talk about that. Yeah. I do like how they basically, like, the Fantastic Four cure the vampire problem. Not cure it, but at least make it workable. Probably because no one wants to deal with the Blood Hunt stuff anymore. Trust me, after reading all those tie-ins, it was a great event. I like Blood Hunt, but after reading all of those events, I was just like, okay, I just don't want to read vampires no more. Anyway, the rest of the story does follow the events of what happens in Our World Under Doom, where Victor basically turns Ben back into he takes away his Thing powers permanently. And Ben is now, in the next issue, he goes to the Puppet Master to try to fix him. Remember, he is married to Alicia Master, so technically speaking, the Puppet Master's his father-in-law. And it's just kind of nice to see that, because we haven't seen it's always cool to see Puppet Master. It's a very emotional issue, too. I really liked it. And we do find out that because Ben is losing his powers, the cosmic connection between all of them is starting to wane. So the Fantastic Four are losing their powers as well. In doing so, they have to go on this wild cosmic quest to recreate to get Ben's powers back, or they all lose their powers. And this sets off a massive chain of events that leads to an alternate universe. It goes completely insane. I don't really want to spoil too much of the comic, but it is a solid Act 1 end. This comic has been and always will be about the family connection of the Fantastic Four. This one felt a little more interconnected than the other storylines, because in most of Ryan North's run, he has basically done this whole thing of writing a comic book that is like a lot of 1 or 2 part stories. There hasn't really been a major story with overarching storylines. This one really does feel like a overarching storyline. But it's a really solid one that deals with alternate Earths. What if the Fantastic Four never existed? And at its core, it is about what always the Fantastic Four is and always should be about. And that is the whole story of family. Insert your Vin Diesel joke here, I guess. Yeah, so it was solid. It was a solid end to Act 1. I do want to read, when it comes out in trade, the next, when we restart this new Fantastic Four era, post Our World Under Doom, because it's just nice to have good Fantastic Four content again. So, and Ryan North has proven that he is the perfect voice for it. Like, he is the perfect guy to be writing the Fantastic Four. So yeah. I recommend this whole run, all 6 volumes, and 7th when we do the renumber. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much my review of Fantastic Four: Our World Under Doom. I'd like to thank Chris once again for sending me this comic, as well as the others. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time, The Multiverse.